Saleswoman mocks dirty customer. The next day she discovers he was the disguised owner. Ashley Parker always took pride in working at the most prestigious boutique in the Beverly Hills Mall in Los Angeles. To her, that job represented status and the chance to mingle with the city's elite who frequented the store. It all started on a Thursday afternoon. A man with a disheveled appearance walked into the boutique, wearing wrinkled clothes and messy hair. Ashley, who was helping a demanding customer, immediately felt a knot in her stomach. "Excuse me, are you lost?" she said, interrupting her conversation with the customer. "This is a luxury boutique. Maybe you got confused with the stores on the lower floor." The man, named Michael Thompson, looked around carefully, examining the displayed items. "No, I'm not mistaken. I'd like to see some suit options." Ashley let out a laugh that echoed through the store. "Suits, sir. Our suits cost over $5,000. Are you sure you wouldn't rather check out Target?" The customer she was assisting laughed along, and others in the store began paying attention to the situation. "Maybe you should look for something more suited to your profile," Ashley continued, gesturing dramatically. "We wouldn't want any unnecessary awkwardness." Michael remained calm, but his eyes revealed deep sadness. "I see. Thank you for the clarification." "You're welcome, and next time, pay closer attention to where you're walking in," Ashley said, turning her attention back to the customer, who discreetly applauded the saleswoman's attitude. Michael left the store in silence, but not without one last glance at the facilities and the employees' behavior. Ashley felt victorious. In her mind, she had protected the store's image and maintained its high-end clientele. Her co-workers congratulated her for standing her ground, and she ended the day satisfied with her performance. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. The next morning, Ashley arrived at work as usual, punctual and well-dressed. There was a meeting scheduled for 10 o'clock, a monthly event to discuss company goals and updates. "Everyone, today you'll meet our new owner," announced Jennifer, the store manager. "He bought the entire chain a few months ago and is finally introducing himself in person." Ashley adjusted her hair and checked her makeup. She always liked making a good impression at important meetings. The conference room was full when the new owner walked in. Ashley nearly choked on her coffee. It was the same man she had humiliated the day before, but now impeccably dressed in a navy blue suit that must have cost a fortune. The silence in the room was deafening as their eyes met. Michael recognized her immediately, but kept a neutral expression. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Thompson, and I'm the new owner of this boutique chain," he said in a firm, professional tone. "I've been visiting all our locations to better understand our customer service processes." Ashley felt her world collapse. Her legs went weak, and she had to lean on the table to keep from falling. "I believe customer service is the heart of our business," Michael continued. "And I've observed some very interesting practices in different stores." After the presentation, Ashley tried to approach him, but Michael left the room without saying a single word to her directly. "Jennifer, I need to speak with Mr. Thompson," Ashley said desperately. "He said he won't be meeting with anyone today. His schedule is packed." Ashley spent the rest of the day in panic. How could she have been so stupid? How could you not realize that man might be someone important? In the following days, she found out through Amber, a co-worker from the Grove branch, that Michael had visited several stores in disguise over the past few months. "Ashley, you won't believe this," Amber said during a phone call. "Jessica from the Bel Air store got promoted to regional supervisor. Guess why? Because she treated an old man who looked homeless with kindness when he walked into her store. Turns out he was our new boss." Ashley's stomach twisted. "And there's more. Brittany from Washington, D.C. also got promoted. She warmly helped an older lady dressed in simple clothes who wanted to buy something for her granddaughter. Guess who that was?" "His mother," Ashley whispered. "We don't know, but definitely someone important to him. The point is, he's rewarding those who treat everyone well, no matter how they look." Ashley hung up with her heart racing. While other sales associates were being promoted for showing kindness, she had shown the exact opposite. Jennifer, her best friend since college, tried to intervene. "Michael, Ashley is really sorry. She's a good person. It's just—" "Jennifer, I don't want to discuss this," he interrupted. "Everyone is responsible for their actions and the consequences." The weeks that followed were the hardest of Ashley's professional life. She worked under constant pressure, expecting to be fired any moment. Every time she spotted Michael from afar, her heart pounded. Worse yet, he implemented a new training program on compassionate customer service. Her case became the example of what not to do. No names were mentioned, but everyone knew. "Quality service isn't based on a customer's appearance," the trainer said during sessions. "A true professional sees the person, not the clothes they wear." Ashley felt humiliated at every training session. Her co-workers began avoiding her, afraid of being associated with her. The once enjoyable workplace turned into a daily nightmare. Things got worse when old Margaret, a customer who had witnessed the entire humiliating scene, returned to the store. "Young lady, I was here the other day when you mistreated that young man," the woman said in a shaky voice. "I raised 5 children working as a maid. I never had money for fancy clothes, but I always taught my kids to treat everyone with respect." Ashley tried to explain, but Margaret continued, "You know what hurt me most? You laughed. You laughed at someone else's pain. That scene made me lose faith in young people." The woman left without buying anything, leaving Ashley in tears. That night, Ashley called her mother, Deborah, who lived in a housing project in East Los Angeles. "Mom, I think I'm going to get fired," she sobbed. "Honey, what happened?" Ashley recounted everything. Deborah, who had worked as a manicurist to support her daughter, stayed silent for a long time. "Ashley, do you remember when we were poor and you were ashamed of me?" "Mom, that was so long ago. You were embarrassed by my simple clothes, my calloused hands. I always dreamed that when you got a good job, it would make you a better person, not worse." Those words hurt more than any scolding Michael could give. "Mom, I need this job. How will I pay for your doctor visits, your medicine?" Deborah sighed. "Sweetheart, I'd rather die waiting in line for Medicaid than know my daughter became a cruel person." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, continuing. Her mother's comment was a turning point. Ashley began to rethink everything. She started treating all customers with respect, regardless of their appearance. Not because she feared being fired, but because she was beginning to understand the weight of her actions. Her transformation didn't go unnoticed by the customers, who began praising her. But her co-workers remained skeptical, thinking it was just an act to keep her job. One day, as she left work, Ashley saw Michael talking to a group of homeless people near the Beverly Hills Mall. She watched from a distance, intrigued. "Mr. Michael, did you bring the meals today?" asked an elderly man. "Yes, I did, old Bill. And how are you feeling?" "Better, thanks to the medicine you helped me get." Ashley was shocked. Michael wasn't just talking to them, he was genuinely helping. He handed out food, brought medicine, and called each of them by name. "Everyone, there's a job skills workshop at the community center this Saturday. Let me know if you want to join," Michael said. A young woman holding a child approached. "Mr. Michael, my daughter is sick again. Could you help me with the doctor's visit?" "Of course, Nicole. Tomorrow morning we'll go to the clinic together." Ashley watched with a heavy heart. The man she had judged by appearance was there, using his own financial stability to help those less fortunate. The following Saturday, uninvited, Ashley showed up at the community center where Michael ran his outreach work. It was a simple but organized space in South Central. Michael was surprised to see her. "Ashley, what are you doing here?" "I came to help," she said softly. "I know I don't deserve to be here, but I'd like to do something." "Why?" "Because I saw what you do for these people, and I realized I've never done anything for anyone in my life." Michael studied her for a moment, gauging her sincerity. "All right, you can help serve lunch, but no, this won't affect your job situation." "I understand." Ashley spent the whole day serving meals, sorting donations, and talking to people. It was the first time in years she felt truly useful. During the event, A girl about 10 years old approached her. "Miss, do you work at that fancy store in the mall?" "Yes, I do. Why?" "My dream is to work in a store like that when I grow up. But my mom said people like us never can because we get treated badly." Ashley's heart broke. "Who told you that?" "My mum. She said fancy store clerks are mean to poor people." Ashley knelt to the girl's level. "What's your name?" "Destiny." "Destiny, I'll tell you a secret. Things can change. And when you grow up, I promise you'll find people who treat you right." The girl smiled. "You really promise?" "I promise." Michael had watched the whole exchange from afar. For the first time since the incident, he saw something genuine in Ashley's eyes. In the months that followed, Ashley began volunteering at the community center every Saturday. She started a workshop on etiquette and customer service for local youth. "Everyone, the most important thing isn't sales techniques," she told the class. "It's seeing each person as a human being who deserves respect." Her approach was different. Instead of just teaching formal business rules, she shared personal stories about the mistakes she'd made. "I used to be prejudiced," she confessed one day. "I judged people by how they looked and thought it made me better. Now I know it just made me small." Destiny, the girl she had met on the first day, became her most dedicated student. She always asked smart questions and showed a genuine interest in learning. "Aunt Ashley, if I study hard, can I work at a store like yours?" "Of course, Destiny. But more important than working at a fancy store is being a good person." Ashley's work at the community center began to show results. Several young people found jobs in local businesses, and they all stood out for their respectful service. One day, Madison, one of Ashley's former students, showed up at the mall wearing a department store uniform. "Aunt Ashley, I got the job." "That's wonderful, Madison. How are things going?" "Yesterday I helped an older man who had dirty work clothes on. My co-workers wanted to ignore him, but I remembered what you taught us. He bought a whole outfit for his daughter's graduation." Ashley smiled with pride. Her teachings were creating a positive ripple effect. Michael quietly kept an eye on Ashley's progress. When he learned she was investing her own money and free time into the project without expecting anything in return, he began to see her differently. One day, after a particularly busy event at the community center, Michael approached her. "Ashley, can I talk to you?" "Of course," she replied, a little nervous. "Why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" "All this volunteer work, investing your time and money here." Ashley hesitated before answering. "Because I realized the person I used to be embarrassed me. And also because a girl asked me a question that changed my life." "What question?" "She asked if she could dream of working at a nice store without being afraid of mistreatment. That's when I realized I was part of the problem." Michael fell silent, processing her answer. "There's something you don't know about me," he finally said. "What?" "My mother was a sales clerk. She worked her whole life in retail to raise me alone." Ashley listened intently. "When I was 15, she was fired from a store where she'd worked for 10 years. Know why?" "No." "Because she stood up for a poor customer who was being mistreated by a co-worker. The manager said she'd violated store policy." Ashley's stomach twisted. She never got another retail job after that. She died cleaning offices, believing that one day retail could be more humane. Tears streamed down Ashley's face. "Michael, I'm so sorry. When I walked into that store and you treated me that way, it felt like my mother was being humiliated all over again." "I didn't know. How could you? But now you understand why this work you're doing means so much to me." Ashley cried even harder, realizing the depth of what she'd done. "What can I do to make it right?" "Keep doing what you're doing. Change lives. Honor my mother's memory by proving that retail can be kind." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. From that day on, the relationship between Ashley and Michael changed. Not quite a friendship, but a mutual respect built on the work they did together at the community center. Ashley expanded her efforts. She created a training program that didn't just teach sales techniques, but focused on human values. You'll learn that every customer has a story, she told her classes. A person with dreams, fears, joys, and sorrows. Our job is to make their day a little better. Her methods were unique. Instead of traditional manuals, she set up real-life scenarios where students practiced respectful service. Destiny, imagine you're helping an elderly lady who's buying a gift for her granddaughter, but only has $30. How would you handle it? I'd help her find something nice within her budget, Aunt Ashley, and I'd treat her with the same kindness as I would a wealthy customer. Perfect. And why? Because money doesn't define a person's worth. The results were impressive. The young people who went through Ashley's program stood out wherever they worked, not just for their technical skills, but especially for their humanity in customer service. A local TV network heard about the work and decided to do a feature. Ashley hesitated to participate. I don't know if I should go on TV, she told Michael. People will find out about that day at the store. Ashley, you turned your story into a lesson. Don't be ashamed of who you've become. The segment aired on a Thursday night. Ashley shared her full story without hiding the mistakes she'd made. I was a judgmental person who looked down on others based on appearances, she told the reporter. One day, I humiliated a customer and found out he was my boss. But the most important thing wasn't losing my job or feeling embarrassed. It was realizing what kind of person I'd become. The response was overwhelming. Ashley received hundreds of messages, some supportive, others critical. But what moved her most were the testimonials from the young people she'd trained. Aunt Ashley taught me that being a salesperson means being a guardian of people's dignity, Madison wrote on social media. She showed me my humble background is my strength, not my weakness, commented another former student. Ashley's program started getting attention from other companies. Stores in different sectors wanted to implement the human-centered service model she'd developed. A year after the boutique incident, Ashley had transformed hundreds of lives through her work. But her biggest achievement was yet to come. Michael called her into his office for a talk. Ashley, I'm planning to create a corporate social responsibility division. It would focus entirely on projects like the one you run at the community center. That sounds interesting. I'd like you to lead it. Ashley was stunned. Michael, I don't deserve this opportunity. It's not about deserving. It's about the ability to create change. You've proven you can do that. But my past, your past is exactly what qualifies you. You understand both the problem and the solution. Ashley hesitated. I need to think about it. Of course. But I want you to know I believe in your work. That night, Ashley talked to her mother about the offer. Sweetheart, have you ever wondered why this man is giving you this opportunity? I don't understand, Mom. He could have fired you long ago. He could have hired anyone to lead this project. Why is he choosing you of all people? I don't know. Because he sees in you what I've always seen, someone who learns from mistakes and transforms. But Mom, I hurt him so much. And he saw you genuinely change. That's worth more than 1,000 apologies. 2 days later, Ashley accepted Michael's offer. Her first decision as Director of Social Responsibility was to turn the boutique where it all began into a model store for human-centered service. She implemented regular training and created a code of conduct based on mutual respect. The store became a benchmark at the mall. Customers started visiting not just for the product quality, but for the exceptional service experience. Margaret, the elderly woman who'd lost faith in young people, returned to the store months later. Miss, I came to see if what they're saying about this store is true, she said. What's that, Margaret? That now you treat everyone well. Ashley smiled. It's true. We've learned that all people deserve respect. Good to know there's still hope in young people. Margaret bought a dress for her granddaughter's graduation and left the store smiling. Ashley's work began gaining national recognition. Universities started studying the case as an example of business transformation through social responsibility. She was invited to speak at retail conferences, always sharing her full story without hiding past mistakes. True leadership comes from the ability to acknowledge our mistakes and turn them into lessons, she'd say in her speeches. During one such conference, she met Amanda Wilson, a young entrepreneur opening a chain of stores in the outskirts of Los Angeles. "Ashley, I'd like to implement your model from the start in my company. Could you help me?" "Of course, but remember, it's not a model to copy, it's a philosophy to live by." The partnership with Amanda led to the first customer service manual created by Ashley. The material became an industry reference. 3 years after the incident, Ashley received a National Social Responsibility Award. At the ceremony in Los Angeles, she was introduced as the professional who transformed customer service concepts in the United States. As she took the stage to accept the award, Ashley saw Michael in the audience, applauding. "This award isn't mine," she said into the microphone. "It belongs to all those who taught me about humility and transformation, especially to a man who could have destroyed me but chose to give me a chance to rebuild myself." Michael was moved by her words. "I also dedicate this award to the memory of a woman I never met, but who inspired me through her son, a saleswoman who lost her job defending the dignity of a poor customer. May this award honor her memory and prove that commerce can be humane." The audience rose in applause. After the ceremony, Michael approached Ashley. "Thank you for honoring my mother's memory. Thank you for giving me the chance to discover who I could truly be." They embraced, sealing a partnership that had transformed not just their lives, but hundreds of others. Destiny, now 15, was in the audience. She had earned a scholarship to study business and dreamed of working with Ashley someday. "Aunt Ashley, when I grow up, I want to be just like you," she said after the ceremony. "No, Destiny, I want you to be better than me, to start right from the beginning." 4 years had passed since the day of humiliation. Ashley's social responsibility program had trained over 1,000 young people. The boutique where it all began became the store with the best customer service in the entire mall. A customer survey revealed that 95% would return, not just for the products, but for the experience of being treated with dignity. The model Ashley created was implemented across Michael's chain and later licensed to other companies. What started as a personal redemption project became a national movement transforming customer service. Ashley wrote a book about her journey titled The Second Chance. All profits went to the community center where it all began. The book became a bestseller and was translated into multiple languages. Ashley received invitations to speak abroad, spreading her message worldwide. But her greatest personal achievement came on the 5th anniversary of her social responsibility program. Destiny, now 17 and about to start college, had secured an internship at the very boutique where Ashley worked. "Aunt Ashley, there's something I've always wanted to ask," Destiny said one day. "What is it?" "Did Mr. Michael really walk into that store by chance that day?" Ashley Parker was curious about the question. "Why are you asking that?" "Because he knew your history with your mother. He knew you worked at that specific store. Could it all have been planned?" Destiny's question left Ashley intrigued. She had never considered that possibility. The next day, she went to Michael's office. "Michael, can I ask you a personal question?" "Of course." "That day, when you walked into the boutique, was it really by chance?" Michael smiled enigmatically. "Why do you ask?" "Destiny made me think. You knew my story. You knew where I worked." Michael was silent for a moment. "Ashley, do you really want to know the truth?" "I do. It wasn't by chance. I had researched all the employees in the chain before taking over. Your profile stood out. Exemplary sales numbers, but with several complaints about discriminatory treatment. Ashley felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. You went there on purpose to test me?" "I did. I wanted to see for myself how you treated customers who didn't fit the store's standard." "But why?" "Because I needed someone who deeply understood the problem of bias in customer service. Someone who had been part of the problem and could become part of the solution." Ashley was stunned. "You wanted me to treat you poorly?" "I didn't want that. I hoped you'd prove me wrong about you. But when you confirmed exactly what I suspected, I knew I'd found the right person." "The right person for what?" "To lead the transformation my mother dreamed of. She always said prejudice in retail would only end when someone who had once been prejudiced decided to genuinely change." Ashley had to sit down. "So all of this was a plan?" The test was planned. Your transformation was genuine. I could have forced a change, but that wouldn't have meant anything. What you did came from the heart. And if I hadn't changed, then I would have been wrong about you, but I bet on the human capacity for change. Ashley fell silent, processing the revelation. Are you upset with me? Michael asked. I don't know yet. I need to process this. I understand. But I want you to know nothing you achieved was handed to you. You fought for every transformation, for every life you touched. Ashley left the office confused, but with a strange sense that everything made sense. That night, she talked to her mother about the revelation. Mom, I found out everything was planned from the start. And how do you feel about that? Confused, manipulated maybe. Sweetheart, he could have fired you on the first day. He could have chosen anyone else to lead the project. Why did he stick with you? Because I changed. Exactly, he bet on your ability to change. And you proved him right. But what if I hadn't changed? Then you would have proved him wrong, but you chose to change. No one forced you. Deborah held her daughter's hands. Ashley, do you think it matters how the opportunity came to you? What matters is what you did with it. The following week, Ashley spoke to Michael again. I have one last question, she said. Go ahead. Did your mother really get fired for defending a poor customer? She did. Every word I told you about her was true. And she really believed retail could be more humane. It was her life's dream. She always said it only took one person changing to start transforming everything. Ashley smiled. Then she was right. She was, and you proved it. 2 years after the revelation, Ashley was giving a lecture to business students at the University of California, Los Angeles. Destiny, now a college student, was in the audience. Genuine transformation only happens when we recognize our mistakes and decide to change, Ashley told the students. It doesn't matter how the opportunity for change comes to us. What matters is what we do with it. After the talk, a student raised their hand. Professor Ashley, is it true your transformation was sparked by a test from your boss? It's true. He tested me and I failed miserably, but he also gave me the chance to try again. And how do you feel knowing it was all planned? Grateful, because without that test I would never have discovered the horrible person I had become, and I would never have had the chance to change. Destiny smiled from the audience. She had been accepted as an intern in the social responsibility program and dreamed of continuing Ashley's work. At the end of the talk, Ashley was approached by a young sales clerk. Ms. Ashley, I work in a store, and sometimes I catch myself judging customers by their appearance. How can I change? First, acknowledge that you're doing it, then remind yourself that every person has a story, has feelings. Treat each customer the way you'd want someone you love to be treated. What if I've already hurt someone? Then use that regret as fuel to never do it again. Guilt that builds is better than innocence that destroys. The young woman left the conversation determined to change her attitude at work. 7 years after the initial incident, Ashley's program had become the official customer service policy in over 500 stores across the United States. The movement had created a new culture in American retail. Michael, now 42, decided to retire from business to dedicate himself fully to social projects. Ashley, I want you to take over as CEO of the company, he said. Michael, this is so... It's what my mother would have wanted, to see a transformed person leading the change she dreamed of. And you? What will you do? I'll continue the work at the community center. There's still so much to be done. Ashley's inauguration as CEO was a landmark event. She became the first woman to hold the position and the first American executive to rise to the top after starting as a sales clerk. In her inaugural speech, she spoke about the power of second chances. Today, I stand here not despite my mistakes, but because of them. Every mistake taught me something that brought me to this moment. Michael watched from the audience, proud of how far she had come. I dedicate this position to the memory of Mrs. Elizabeth Thompson, Michael's mother, who believed commerce could be humane, and to all the people who gave me the chance to change when I didn't deserve it. Destiny, now graduated and working as a social responsibility supervisor, cried with emotion. 3 years later, Ashley was invited to speak at the Global Economic Summit about social transformation through retail. Her story had become an international case study. The true wealth of a company isn't in profits, but in its ability to transform lives, she told business leaders from around the world. After the talk, executives from various countries approached her, interested in implementing the American model of compassionate customer service. But the most emotional moment of her journey was yet to come. During the celebration of the Social Responsibility Program's 10th anniversary, Michael made a special announcement. "I want to share the part of the story I've never revealed," he told the packed crowd at the community center. Ashley was curious. What more could there be? "Before she passed, my mother made me a request. She wanted me to find a way to honor all the saleswomen who, like her, were mistreated for standing up for humble customers." Michael paused, visibly moved. "That's why I created a foundation in her memory. Today I'm announcing that this foundation will offer scholarships to the children of sales associates who demonstrate values of dignity and respect in customer service." The audience gave a standing ovation. The first recipient of this scholarship will be Destiny Williams, who embodies everything my mother believed in. Destiny couldn't hold back her tears. She had won a full scholarship to pursue a master's degree in social responsibility. "And I also want to announce that Ashley Parker will be the lifelong president of this foundation to ensure the values of transformation and second chances are always preserved." Ashley stepped onto the stage, visibly moved. 10 years ago, I was someone who humiliated other human beings. Today, I have the honor of leading a foundation dedicated to transforming lives. If that's not proof that everyone deserves a second chance, I don't know what is. The audience rose in applause that lasted several minutes. That night, after the event, Ashley and Michael walked together through the community center where it had all begun. "Michael, I have a confession to make," she said. "What is it?" "For a long time, I hated you for testing me like that. And now? Now I'm grateful, because you gave me the chance to discover who I could really be. And I'm grateful because you proved my mother right, that a person can change and transform the world around them." The two fell silent, watching the activity in the community center, which now served over 1,000 people every month. "You know what amazes me most about this whole story," Ashley said. "What?" "How one bad decision can turn into something so beautiful when someone truly decides to change. My mother used to say that the world's greatest transformers are those who first transform themselves." She was a wise woman. She was. And I'm sure she'd be proud to see who you've become. 15 years after the incident at the boutique, Ashley had not only transformed her own life, but also influenced a cultural shift in American retail. Her program had been implemented in over 2,000 establishments, changing the experience for millions of customers. Destiny, now 27 and with a PhD in social responsibility, had taken over as the foundation's program director. "Aunt Ashley, sometimes I wonder what it would have been like if you hadn't changed that day," Destiny said during a meeting. "Why do you think about that?" "Because thousands of people have been impacted by your transformation. It's incredible to think it all started with a mistake. That's why I believe so deeply in the power of change. No one is lost forever. It just takes one decision to turn things around." Ashley's story had become legendary in the business world. Universities everywhere studied her case as an example of how personal values can revolutionize an entire industry. But for her, the greatest achievement wasn't the awards or recognition. It was knowing she had honored the memory of a woman she'd never met, but who had profoundly influenced her life. Michael, now 50, remained dedicated to social work. The community center had become a national model for vocational training for low-income youth. "Ashley, I want to ask you something," he said one day. "Go ahead. If you could go back in time, would you change anything about that day at the boutique?" Ashley thought for a moment. "I wouldn't change a thing." "Why not?" "Because that mistake led me to discover my life's purpose. It led me to transform thousands of lives. It led me to find the best version of myself, even knowing the pain it caused. Especially because of that. The pain taught me empathy, The mistake taught me humility. Forgiveness taught me gratitude. Michael smiled. My mother would say you've learned life's most important lesson. What's that? That our worst moments can become our greatest gifts if we learn from them. At 45, Ashley looked back and saw a journey she could never have imagined. From a prejudiced saleswoman, she had become one of the leading voices for social change in the United States. But she knew her story wasn't unique. Every day, she saw people transforming through the programs she had created. She saw young people discovering their potential, business owners shifting their mindset, and customers being treated with dignity. The boutique where it all began still stood, now as a symbol of transformation. A sign at the entrance read, "All are welcome here because we believe in the dignity of every human being." Ashley visited the store regularly, not just as the company's president, but as a way to remember where she came from and where she was going. One day, as she watched the store's activity, a scene moved her deeply. A young saleswoman was kindly assisting an older man in simple clothes who wanted to buy a gift for his wife. "Do you have a color preference, sir?" the saleswoman asked. "She likes blue, but I'm not sure I have enough for something blue," the man replied, embarrassed. "Don't worry. We'll find something beautiful in blue that fits your budget. It's the thought that counts, not the price." Ashley smiled. The transformation had taken root. That saleswoman had never heard her story, but she was living the values Ashley had helped plant. The man left the store smiling, carrying a delicate blue scarf wrapped with care. "How was your service?" Ashley asked him at the exit. "It was wonderful. The young lady treated me like I was the most important customer in the world. Because you are." The man smiled and walked away, unaware he had just spoken to the person who had revolutionized that kind of service. 20 years after the initial incident, Ashley was invited to write her memoirs. The book, From Prejudice to Transformation, a 20-year journey, became an international bestseller. At the book launch in Los Angeles, Michael was in the audience, along with Destiny and hundreds of others whose lives had been touched by Ashley's work. "This book isn't about me," she said during the event. "It's about the power we all have to transform ourselves and the world around us." A young woman in the audience raised her hand. "Ms. Ashley, what's your biggest regret?" "Not changing sooner. I wonder how many more people I could have helped if I'd learned this lesson earlier." "And your greatest joy?" "Knowing my transformation inspired others to change too. That my mistake became the seed of something beautiful." After the event, Ashley, Michael, and Destiny had dinner together, as they often did. "Aunt Ashley, what do you hope people take away from your story?" Destiny asked. "That it's never too late to change, that our mistakes don't define us, and that one transformed person can change the world." "And you, Uncle Michael?" Destiny asked. "That my mother was right, that business can be humane, and that betting on people's capacity to change is still the best wager you can make." The three toasted to a story that had begun in pain and become a symbol of hope. Today, 25 years after that day in the boutique, the program Ashley created has directly transformed over 100,000 lives and millions more indirectly. The American model of compassionate service is now studied in universities worldwide. Ashley, now 50, still chairs the foundation and travels the world sharing her experience. Destiny has taken over as company president and continues expanding the social responsibility programs. Michael, at 57, spends his time writing a book about his mother and the importance of dignity in the workplace. The boutique where it all began has become a museum of social transformation, visited by thousands of people who want to see the place where a prejudiced attitude turned into a global movement for change. But for Ashley, the greatest reward isn't the awards or recognition. It's knowing that somewhere in the world, right at this moment, someone is being treated with dignity because of a lesson learned through her story, a lesson that started with shame and became pride, that began with prejudice and turned into love, that started with a mistake and became purpose, and all because two people, one who made a mistake and another who forgave, believed in the transformative power of a second chance. End of story. Now tell me what you thought of this story and where you're watching from. If you know someone who's been through a similar situation or believes in the power of personal transformation, share it in the comments. Do you think Ashley deserved all the opportunities she received? We'd love to hear your honest opinion. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories like this one.